You're dead weight, Cole. The clients stay because of the brand, not you. That's what he said. Word for word. Smirking, arms folded, standing over me like a judge handing down a sentence. Except I wasn't on trial. I was being discarded. 15 years. 15 years of grinding, sweating, sacrificing. And just like that, I was a line item in a quarterly report, crossed out by a guy who hadn't even memorized the names of half our clients. My name's Cole Hartman. I'm 44 years old. Until last Tuesday, I was the senior client strategist at Rexton Industrial, a mid-sized logistics solutions firm out of Indianapolis. I manage 70% of our recurring revenue accounts, everything from Midwest agricultural distributors to an international auto parts manufacturer based in Ohio. If you saw a client contract over $500,000, it had my initials on it. So when Sean Mathis, the new VP of Sales with a freshly laminated MBA and a LinkedIn profile that read like a sales brochure, called me into conference room C with HR already seated, I knew. We're restructuring, he said. Realigning the org chart to match our growth targets. That's how he put it. Like I was furniture. Out of alignment. Beside him, Janine from HR looked like she wanted to be anywhere else. She slid a manila folder across the table like it might burn her fingers. Severance, 60 days. Standard benefits continuation. Non-disparagement clause highlighted in yellow. My hand stayed on the armrests. I didn't touch the folder. Sean leaned forward, fingers steepled. This isn't personal. Then came the line. The one I'd replay in my head for the next 6 months like a war drum. You're dead weight, Cole. The clients stay because of the brand, not you. I just nodded. Quiet. No outburst. No protest. Just stood up, buttoned my jacket, and walked out. It was funny. For all his spreadsheets and strategy decks, Sean never understood one basic thing about the people I served. They didn't trust Rexton. They trusted me. I passed Emily from billing on the way out. She gave me a small nod, eyes wide with confusion. No one had seen this coming. Not even me. At my desk, I packed slowly. The photo of my daughter, Charlotte, at her ballet recital. The mug from a client who sent me a Christmas card every year without fail. My signed baseball from the Office Fantasy League, a league I had founded, by the way. Everything fit into a single cardboard box. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. Just walked out the front doors, past the giant etched glass logo of the company I'd helped grow from a regional firm to a national player. The logo looked cheap now. Like a sticker on something that had already expired. In the parking lot, I sat in my Camry, hands gripping the wheel, the box on the passenger seat beside me. My stomach wasn't turning. My throat wasn't tight. I felt still. Too still. When I got home, my wife Maddie was on the porch, phone in hand. She must have seen the look on my face. She didn't ask? Just opened the front door and let me pass. I went straight to the back patio, cracked a beer, and stared out at our overgrown lawn. I don't know how long I sat there. Maybe an hour. Maybe 3. Eventually, Maddie joined me. She didn't say anything for a while. Just sat beside me, our knees touching. They're gonna miss you, she said finally. I didn't answer. Because they weren't just going to miss me. They were going to need me. Sean didn't know this, didn't care to learn it, but Rexton's back end was chaos. Old CRM systems duct taped to outdated inventory tools. My client notes? Most of them were still kept in a personal encrypted archive because the company refused to upgrade their system permissions. I had built that pipeline client by client, late night by late night. I didn't own the clients. But I had something better. I had their trust. And trust doesn't stay loyal to logos. Sean thought he just deleted a name from Payroll. What he'd actually done? He'd triggered a chain reaction I don't think he ever saw coming. I didn't sleep much that night. It wasn't fear. It wasn't even anger. It was something colder, calculation. Around 3 a.m., I found myself in my home office, lights off, staring at the glowing monitor. I opened the encrypted archive I kept on a remote drive. Years of notes, conversations, contract outlines, renewal reminders, all organized by client name. Nothing proprietary. Nothing illegal. Just what I'd built through relationships. through trust. At 7 a.m., Maddie found me still sitting there, eyes bloodshot, coffee untouched beside the keyboard. She didn't ask if I was okay. She just leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed in that quiet way she does when she's waiting for me to be honest with myself. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That he's going to find out how heavy this dead weight really was." She raised one eyebrow. "So what's the plan?" I didn't answer immediately. Because I didn't have a plan. Not yet. Just 1,000 puzzle pieces shifting around in my head. Here's what I did have: a reputation. For 15 years, I'd been the guy clients called when things got messy. When shipments went off track, invoices duplicated, or warehouse staff started pointing fingers. My phone was the first one they dialed. Not because I had the answers, but because I always found them. I knew their birthdays, their kids' names, their bottlenecks. I wasn't a strategist. I was their guy. I wasn't about to pick up the phone and start stealing clients. That wasn't who I was. But I also wasn't going to pretend they wouldn't notice I was gone. So I made a list. Not of targets, of people. Real names. Real relationships. And next to each name, I wrote one word. Call? Not pitch. Not sell. Just call. The first was Danny Cole from Westgrove Freight. We'd worked together since 2011. I'd helped his dad secure their first nationwide logistics contract. His dad had passed in 2018. Danny never forgot what I did for him in that season, pushing through invoices, getting him grace periods, coaching him through an RFP like a big brother. He was also Rexton's third largest client. I sent him a text that morning. Short. Simple. Wanted you to hear it from me. I'm no longer with Rexton as of yesterday. Just wanted to say thank you for everything over the years. No sales pitch. Just respect. 15 minutes later, my phone rang. Tell me they didn't fire you, Danny said without even saying hello. They did. Silence. You okay? He asked finally. I will be. I don't know what the hell they're thinking, he said. We signed on because of you. I've been ignoring calls from their junior rep all morning. You want to meet for lunch? I paused. I wasn't sure how much I wanted to jump into anything, but I also wasn't dumb. Tomorrow? Yeah. Tomorrow's good. He paused. You thinking about staying in the industry? I smiled. Yeah, Danny. I am. Over the next 3 days, 5 more clients reached out. I didn't solicit. I didn't even hint. But word travels fast. Especially in tight networks built on handshakes and late-night save-the-deal calls. Maddie watched the texts roll in. She saw the shift in my posture. From deflated to focused. You're not done, she said one night over dinner. No. I don't think I ever was. Then came the kicker. Sunday night. I was nursing a scotch, watching the Colts blow another lead, when my Uncle Ray called. Ray Hartman. Partner at Laurel Cross Ventures. Private equity, mostly industrials and logistics. We hadn't talked in months. Heard you got clipped, he said bluntly. News travels. I've been watching Rexton for a while. Mathis is a clown. I didn't say anything. Just listened. You ever thought about going out on your own? He asked. I laughed. With what capital? With mine, he replied. I've got a partner group looking for someone with your network. Someone who can build a boutique logistics firm from scratch, high touch, low volume, premium service. The kind of firm that doesn't treat clients like line items. I didn't respond right away. He added, This is serious, Cole. We've got the money. We just need the right name. The right face. My throat went dry. I'd need time, I said finally. And a clean path. You'll have it. I'll make sure of it. When I hung up the phone, I sat in silence for a while. The Colts had lost, but I didn't care. This wasn't about revenge. It was about reclamation. Sean had no idea what he'd set loose when he called me dead weight. I wasn't going to steal clients. But I wasn't going to stop them from walking either. Monday morning, I put on a shirt with buttons. Not because I had anywhere to go, I didn't, but because it reminded me who I used to be. Or maybe who I still was. I brewed a fresh pot of coffee, opened my laptop, and stared at a blinking cursor on a blank email draft. Subject line: just checking in. I wasn't stupid. I knew what it looked like to reach out after a termination. Desperate. Bitter. But I also knew what these people valued. Honesty. Consistency. Me. I sent that email to 3 clients, just 3. It wasn't a pitch. No business logo, no attachment, no big announcement. Just a plain message, from Cole Hartman, saying thanks for the years, and that I hope to cross paths again. All 3 replied within the hour. Wherever you land, we want to know. Let me know if you're consulting, we've got a mess over here already. I've ignored 3 calls from some guy named Drew. Doesn't know a forklift from a filing cabinet. That last one made me laugh harder than I'd laughed all week. Drew was Sean's idea of a rising star, fresh out of college, obsessed with scalability, and allergic to listening. By 11 a.m., I was pacing my kitchen. Something was happening. Something big. I opened my notebook, an actual notebook, with pen and paper, and drew 2 columns. On the left, clients I'd worked with over the years. On the right, what they were likely dealing with now that I was gone. Transition lags. CRM delays. Empty follow-up loops. Billing confusion. I didn't have to call them. They were calling me. And then came the email. Subject: quick chat? From Lily Tran. Title: VP of Partnerships, Nexum Logistics. I stared at it for a moment. Nexum was one of Rexton's most serious competitors. Aggressive. Scrappy. They tried to recruit me twice, years ago, but I turned them down. Loyalty, I'd said back then. Hey Cole, just heard the news. Timing is wild. We're expanding our client solutions division and could use someone with your relationship brain. Want to grab coffee this week? It didn't feel like poaching. It felt like opportunity, knocking. We met Thursday. A cafe near downtown, all exposed brick and Edison bulbs. Lily wore a slate gray blazer and had that clipped, deliberate tone of someone who didn't waste words. I'm not asking you to burn bridges, she said, hands around a steaming mug. I'm asking you to build something. Your way. I'm not interested in revenge, I said. She smiled. Good. I'm interested in leverage. That word. Leverage. It stuck in my head like a seed. She laid it out. Nexum wanted to create a premium tier service arm, fewer clients, deeper integration, personal relationships. Not a call center. Not a portal. A person. They didn't have one. She wanted me to design it from scratch. And the cherry? No non-compete. No legal entanglements. Rexton hadn't even given me the courtesy of a signature on the way out. Do I have freedom to bring in people? I asked. You have budget, she replied. And authority. She slid a folder across the table. Inside, offer letter, proposed title, equity terms. I whistled low. You came prepared. I figured you would too. That night, I called Danny from West Grove again. I might be moving, I said. To where? Nexum. New division. High-touch model. Silence. Then, when can I come over? I chuckled. You're not buying a couch, Danny. No, he said. I'm following the guy who picks up the phone when the warehouse floods. We set a dinner for the following week. He'd bring numbers. I'd bring proposals. Nothing official. Just 2 people talking over steaks. But I knew what it meant. The next day, I got a call from Brett Landry at Corcap Industries. Another client I hadn't even contacted. Is it true you're out? He asked. Yeah. Last week. Well, Rexton's new guy is clueless. We're shopping. Can't make promises yet, I said. You don't have to. Just let me know where you land. By Friday, I had informal nods from 4 major accounts. Not contracts. Not signed deals. But intent. And that's when I knew I had to move fast. Because Sean? Sean was starting to get nervous. How did I know? One of my old coworkers, Gina, who still owed me a solid after I helped her get through an ugly systems crash last year, sent me a Slack screenshot. It was from Sean. Does anyone know where Cole landed? We've had 6 client calls in the last 48 hours asking for him directly. This can't continue. Someone find out where he went. Gina just captioned it with LOL. He's sweating. I leaned back in my chair and smiled. I wasn't stealing. I wasn't sabotaging. I was just visible again. And the clients? They were choosing with their feet. Not out of spite. Out of trust. The first real crack appeared Monday morning. I was still sipping coffee when my phone buzzed. A LinkedIn message, from someone I didn't recognize. Hey Cole, I handle client ops at Rexton now. A few accounts mentioned you this week. Just wondering, are you doing any consulting work? Consulting work. The euphemism every ex-employee hears when the old company realizes they've messed up. I didn't reply right away. Let them sweat. Instead, I forwarded the message to Lily. Her response came in less than 5 minutes. Told you they'd blink first. You ready to go public? Not yet. I needed one more thing. That evening, I met with Ray again, my uncle, the private equity partner who had first floated the idea of funding a new firm. We sat in his glass-walled office overlooking Monument Circle, the whole city humming below us. So you've got the contacts, the interest, and the offer from Nexum, he said. Why not just take the job? Because I'm not trying to build someone else's vision, I said. I'm done handing over the blueprints. Ray smirked. You sure you're ready to run the show? I built Rexton's best division without a title. Imagine what I can do with one. He leaned forward. We'll fund it. Full backing. But you'll need clients fast. Minimum of $5 million in signed accounts within 6 months. Can you deliver? I didn't hesitate. Yes. Ray nodded, slid a document across the table. We'll call it Hartman Solutions. The name has weight. And just like that, it was real. That week was a blur of motion. I set up a secure LLC, started drafting my ideal org chart, reached out to a few former colleagues I trusted implicitly, people who were loyal to me, not the brand. And then I got the call. Not from Rexton. From Jessica, the executive assistant to one of our biggest clients, Marlowe Systems. Hey Cole, you didn't hear this from me, she said in a whisper. But their CEO just asked if we had a backup vendor. Apparently your old team missed a critical renewal date, and the integration's delayed again. Marlowe Systems represented nearly $3 million in annual billing for Rexton. That delay? It had been my calendar reminder for 8 years. I'm not saying we're leaving, Jessica added, but Mr. Marlowe asked for your number. I hung up stunned. They were unraveling, fast. And they still had no idea why. Later that day, Gina, my mole on the inside, sent me another message. Sean's officially in meltdown mode. He accused one of the junior reps of leaking to you. What did the kid say? Started crying. He barely knows your name. I stared at the message and exhaled slowly. I hadn't touched a single Rexton asset. I hadn't pitched, poached, or promised. But the clients were moving. And Sean? He was out of rope. By Friday, I had 4 verbal commitments for Hartman Solutions. Nothing on paper yet, but strong enough to justify hiring. Ray's legal team helped me structure the offer letters, equity pools, and onboarding docs. I scheduled dinners with Danny from West Grove and Brett from CoreCap. I wasn't asking for handouts. I was offering clarity. Real service. Personal access. No revolving door of reps who didn't know the difference between freight and flatbeds. And then, out of nowhere, Rexton tried to hit back. I got a letter. Certified. Formal. Cease and desist. It accused me of violating a non-compete clause I'd never signed. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped the envelope. Maddie didn't. They're getting desperate, she said, reading it over. This is how they fight when they don't have facts. Still, I looped in Ray's counsel. He reviewed the packet and smirked. There's no contract language to enforce, he said. They're bluffing. Do I respond? No, he said. You keep building. That weekend, I took a call from Lily Tran at Nexum. I heard you're launching Hartman Solutions, she said. Should I be jealous? I chuckled. You were the spark, Lily. But I needed to build something with my own name on the door. She was quiet for a moment. Well, she said finally, then we'll just have to partner. Nexum can outsource our VIP tier to Hartman. We'll send over a proposal. And just like that, Nexum, Rexton's biggest rival, was offering me a seat at the table instead of a job beneath it. On Monday morning, Sean finally called. Blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Cole. Look, we may have acted too quickly. Things are shifting. There's room for a strategic advisory role if you're interested. No hard feelings. His voice cracked a little at the end. Like it physically pained him to say the words. I played it again. Just for the music of it. I didn't call back. Instead, I walked outside, took a deep breath of spring air, and texted Ray one word. Go. 2 weeks later, the first contract landed. West Grove Freight signed a 3-year deal with Hartman Solutions. It wasn't just a renewal, it was an expansion. We'd be handling their full logistics planning, vendor integrations, and cost optimization model. The ink hadn't dried before Brett from CorkApps sent over his letter of intent. Cole, I told the Rexton guy I'd think about it, he said. And I did. For 3 seconds. That put us at $3.9 million in projected revenue. I needed 5. On Thursday, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Cole, it's Marie at Ventro Health. We're ready. Send over the agreement. Ventro. That was the deal I'd pitched for months before getting canned. They had ghosted Rexton's new rep after my exit. And now they were mine. When I added it all up, my fingers froze on the calculator. $5.2 million in annual contracts. The floor had been crossed. Ray's number hit. My number earned. Hartman Solutions was real, and now it had teeth. We hired fast, but smart. I brought in Luis, my old ops lead from Rexton, who'd quit a week after me. I didn't even have to pitch him. He just said, "Tell me when to start." Next was Shannon from Client Services. She had that rare mix of calm under pressure and sharp wit clients loved. When I called her, she asked one question. "Are you building it right this time?" "Yes," I said. "No red tape. No silos. No politics. Just people doing what they're good at. I'm in." And then I made one decision I hadn't expected to make. I called Lily. "I want to partner officially," I told her. "Thought you would," she said. "Welcome to the war." We drafted a mutual services agreement. Nexum would outsource up to $2 million annually in high-touch client support to Hartman Solutions. In return, we'd get back-end support on freight analytics and access to their discount tier on shipping. By the end of the month, we were operational. 4 full-time employees. 12 clients. 1 rented floor in an old converted warehouse with stained concrete floors and exposed ductwork. And a team that smiled more in 1 week than I had in my last year at Rexton. Rexton, meanwhile, was imploding. Gina sent me weekly updates like a war correspondent behind enemy lines. Sean tried to force another price hike on a legacy client. They bailed. Marlowe's systems walked. No reason given, but we know why. He brought in a performance coach to boost morale. People laughed. Then, 3 weeks in, came the bomb. Board's furious. Q2 is tanking. Sean's on the chopping block. I couldn't help it. I laughed. Not because I wanted him to suffer, but because of how predictable it all was. The man who said I was dead weight had put the whole company on a treadmill with a broken belt. Now they were all slipping. But Sean wasn't done swinging. That Friday, I got another letter. This one was different. Legal grade. Multiple pages. Allegations of client interference, brand misrepresentation, and, get this, theft of proprietary methods. Ray's legal team went into full defense mode. They pulled my contract, every email I'd ever sent, my termination paperwork. There was nothing. No NDA. No non-compete. No language restricting my movement or relationships. Just the same empty severance letter I never even signed. Still, it wasn't enough. Because Sean had gone further. He called a few of our shared clients directly, accusing me of misconduct. He claimed I'd stolen client files, that I was manipulating terms, misrepresenting Hartman Solutions as the real Rexton. Brett called me the moment it happened. "Cole, this guy's unraveling," he said. "Tried to say you backdoored the data you gave us. Did you believe him? I asked him one question: why did we leave you if we were so happy?" He hung up. Then came the final escalation. Gina. She called me, not messaged, and her voice was shaking. "Cole, they're prepping a press statement. Gonna frame your company as a hostile poacher. Accuse you of breaching trust. They can't prove anything," I said. "They don't need to," she replied. "They just need to make noise and hope your new clients get nervous." I exhaled slowly. This was the playbook now. When you can't win with loyalty, you smear with doubt. "I've got one more card," she said. "I don't know if I should play it." "What is it?" I kept screenshots. From Slack. From internal memos. Sean bragging that you were gone and now clients were locked in. Timestamps, names. Enough to prove malicious intent. I didn't ask her to send them. I just said thank you. An hour later, they were in Ray's inbox. The next day, our attorneys sent Rexton a counter threat, defamation, client tampering, and coercive interference. And then, silence. No press release. No statement. No more letters. They blinked. Hard. That weekend, we closed our 13th account. And on Monday morning, we made our first public move, a clean, simple announcement. Hartman Solutions is now live. Offering trusted, hands-on logistics support with clarity, consistency, and integrity. No shots fired. No names mentioned. Just facts. And a new door, freshly painted, with my name on the glass. I thought they were finished. Then Rexton did what scared companies always do when they lose control. They made it personal. A courier showed up at our tiny office with another thick envelope. Inside, a letter from a new law firm, this time loaded with legal jargon and accusations, unfair competition, breach of fiduciary duty, and even implied data theft. And this time? They copied 4 of our clients. It wasn't just noise. It was sabotage. A strategic smear. "They're trying to poison your relationships," Ray's lawyer said. "Force your clients to reconsider by creating uncertainty." For the first time since I left, I felt rattled. Not scared. But insulted. This wasn't about legality. It was a message. Sean wasn't content with losing. He wanted to salt the earth behind me. Because that's what Sean never understood. I hadn't taken anything from Rexton. I'd earned every client, every call, every contract. What he saw as theft, I saw as memory. People remembering who actually answered the phone when their freight was late on a Friday. But I wasn't alone. By the end of the day, 2 of the clients who'd been CC'd on that letter, West Grove and Ventro, called me directly. "Rexton's desperate," Danny said. "Do what you need to do. We're not going anywhere." Brett from CoreCap called that night. "Guy called me to warn me about you. Didn't even know we'd already signed your contract last week. Idiot." That night I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the letter. I could feel Maddie watching me from the hallway. "You thinking about walking away?" she asked. I shook my head. "I'm thinking about ending this." Next morning, I did just that. I sent one clean, direct email to Rexton's legal team. "We are prepared to pursue damages for client interference, defamation, and bad faith. Cease all communication attempts with our clients immediately. Any further harassment will be met in court." Ray's lawyers backed it. And more importantly, so did our clients. We didn't hear from Rexton again. Instead, a week later, Sean Mathis was quietly removed from the website. No announcement. No LinkedIn post. Just gone. Scrubbed like a typo no one wanted to admit ever existed. Gina sent one final message. "He's out." CEO took his badge on Monday. Apparently the board blamed him for strategic miscalculations. I stared at the message, unsure how to feel. No victory lap. No champagne. Just peace. The kind that only comes when someone stops trying to rewrite your story. I closed my laptop and stepped outside. Maddie was in the garden. She looked up and smiled. "Is it over?" she asked. I nodded. "Then come sit." You've got a life to get back to. Later that week, I received a message from a familiar name, Rexton CEO. He asked for a call? Curious, I agreed. He kept it short. Cole, he said, voice stiff. What would it take to bring you back? I actually laughed. Nothing, I said. It's too late. You're doing well, I can see that. We're open to a full acquisition of your firm. Now I was silent. We'd keep the name. Let you run it. Fold it into our network. Why? I asked. Because clients trust you. And trust is expensive to rebuild. I paused. You fired that trust, I said. Called it dead weight. He didn't argue. I hung up without another word. I wasn't going back. I'd built something stronger than revenge. I'd built proof. 6 months later, the office looked nothing like the hollow warehouse we'd started in. We had desks now. Real ones. With glass dividers, whiteboards covered in timelines and client maps, and an espresso machine that Louise swore was haunted but still used daily. Shannon had turned the old broom closet into a client Zoom room, even painted it navy and hung a print that said, "Listen first," in big white letters. It was more than an office. It was ours. We'd signed 22 clients by then. Some small, some massive. We weren't chasing volume, we were chasing trust. Word had gotten out that Hartman Solutions didn't just show up, we stuck around. Every account came with a direct line to me, Louise, or Shannon. No ticket system. No elevator music hold time. We even wrote into contracts. No client shall wait more than 24 hours for a human response. Our retention rate? A clean 100%. That's when the email came. It was from Gina. Thought you'd want to know. Rexton just lost the Marlowe account. Clients said they were tired of being handled like a number. CEOs under review. Boards considering a sale. I sat with it a long time. A part of me wanted to smile. Not out of spite. Just relief. Like watching a storm that used to live inside you move on to ruin someone else's roof. Because the truth was, I didn't hate Rexton. I hated what it became. I hated how fast they forgot what mattered. How quickly they traded relationships for spreadsheets and people for processes. But I didn't share the email with the team. Because we had other things to celebrate. Louise's wife had just given birth to their second child. Shannon had landed a speaking gig at a logistics summit in Denver. And I was about to hire our 5th employee, someone fresh out of college who reminded me of me 20 years ago. Hungry, curious, and still believing that integrity mattered more than metrics. We weren't in the revenge business. We were in the building business. And we were just getting started. That Friday, I took a detour on my drive home. I passed Rexton's headquarters. The parking lot was half empty. Lights off in offices that used to buzz past 7 p.m. The etched logo on the building looked faded. Like no one had washed the windows in weeks. Even the grass was overgrown, like it had started giving up too. I didn't stop. Didn't slow down. Just kept driving. There was nothing there for me anymore. The people I cared about had either followed me, or found their own way out. And the man who called me dead weight. He was gone, too. The weight, it turned out, wasn't me. It was him. We hit $10 million in annual revenue 1 year after I was fired. No press release. No party. Just a quiet dashboard update on a Tuesday morning, followed by a collective high five in the break room and Shannon's homemade cookies, which somehow tasted like Triumph and brown sugar. Ray came by the office that afternoon. He stood by the window, watching the team work. "You know," he said, "a few firms have started sniffing around, asking if we're open to acquisition." "Let them sniff," I said. "We're not selling." He smiled. "Didn't think so." We sat for a while, not talking. Just watching. It felt different than the early days. Quieter. Calmer. More permanent. Then I told him my next idea. A mentorship program. One-on-one coaching for junior ops managers. Not just processes and numbers, real training. How to handle clients. How to build trust without burning out. "Think anyone will sign up?" I asked. Ray looked at me. "You've built something people believe in, Cole. They'll follow." That evening, I went home and sat on the back porch with Maddie, wine glasses between us and cicadas humming in the background. The sky was streaked gold and violet. Charlotte, our daughter, was inside on a video call with her dance team, talking about colleges. "How was your day?" Maddie asked. I paused. It was the kind I used to hope for. The kind where no one's yelling, nothing's on fire, and the biggest decision is who gets the last cookie. She smiled. "And what did you decide?" "I took it," I said, grinning. "Building something has its perks." A week later, I received a letter. No envelope. Hand-delivered. From Sean. Scrawled uneven handwriting on a torn notepad. "You were right. I didn't get it. I thought clients were numbers. Turns out, they were relationships. I didn't just fire a name. I erased the reason they stayed. I'm starting over now. Somewhere smaller. Hope you're still building. You were always better at that." I read it twice. Then I folded it, placed it in the back of my desk drawer, and went back to work. Not out of spite. Not to win. But because I had people who counted on me. Because trust is something you build. And this time, I was building it right.